Mišja and OSP, these two crags in Slovenia. I used to go here since I was pretty much a little kid. At certain point, it almost became my home crag. It's a place where I did my first 7C plus Onsight, first 8A, first 8B, and in the end also my first 9A called Martin Krpan when I was 13 years old. I basically did every single route here, and there was this amazing 9A called Waterworld established by Klemen Bečan that I was actually saving for an Onsight Try. It's actually hard to find a properly hard route which would be harder than 8Cs, because all the tufas and stalactites provides to be actually pretty good holds and also pretty good rests. If you look at it at first, you don't really think that it's that steep, but it's enough to climb up to this little ledge where the route starts, and you realize that the first part is almost a roof. Just the fact that it starts off the ledge makes it quite difficult to observe, because from the ledge you can't really see much further than third quick draw, and from the ground the initial meters are actually quite far away to make a proper observation. As soon as I set off, I knew that the first few moves wouldn't be that hard, and I knew that around the first bolt there would be quite a good knee bar where I could recompose myself and preview the route or the section right above from a slightly different perspective, which is always nice and kind of reduces the pressure. In the next section from this knee bar, I could see that there was quite a lot of chalk on many different handholds, but I was kind of thinking, maybe it would be possible to kind of reach over, and maybe all of these extra holds might be only for short climbers who can't really reach over this first part. I was thinking that it might be a bit too risky, but at the same time I decided to really take the risk and hope that the next hold would be good enough. And using this good right hand that I will just reach now, cut loose. The cut loose was quite strenuous, but I was pretty happy that I made this section work in a pretty fast, efficient way, and that gave me quite a lot of confidence that this was a good start. This big move, again with the right hand, is probably quite hard if you're a bit shorter and you're almost in a total roof. Now I'm approaching, which is probably the hardest moves of the whole route. I think the sequence is like really complicated and I had no idea what to do, but from the ground I knew that there might be this bad knee bar. It's not a great knee bar and it was really hard to match my hands using this pretty slopey one. I had to try really hard with my calf, but it was a great decision because I made it through this section, which might be the crux, with not wasting a lot of energy. On the other hand, basically from the third bolt, it's about just keep going, and it's a lot about like power endurance. There is not really that many places where to stop. And the power, despite making no mistakes, was quickly going away. This left hand side pull undercling is really flat, and this big move into the jug was pretty much absolutely on the limit. Yet at the same time I could clip, but from the ground I thought that this would be a total jug. I wasn't that tired, but I was definitely quite scared about the next section. There were two options: either take the flat left hand side pull above my head, or first going to the right. First, I took this left hand side pull, put my feet up, and I realized that this was really hard move. I just barely did it, and now I was pretty much on the limit. Luckily, here the route is almost over. You take the first good stalactite, and right here, in my mind, I almost started celebrating. Now the climbing here is about first taking good rest using the stalactites, and then not necessarily trying to be as efficient as possible, but also climbing in a way that you know that would be safe in terms of not breaking any holds, not pulling on the stalactites or any other holds just too much, but being composed. In terms of the length, the route is far from over. You have just done barely 20 meters and the total length of the route is maybe even 50, so there's still more than 30 meters to go. But from the observation, I knew that, as the rock creates these big stalactites, there should always be enough rests. And I definitely didn't underestimate it, but I knew it was gonna be alright. Since I was a little kid, I always focused on climbing on Onsight. For me, especially when I was like 10, 12 years old, it was pretty much the only style that mattered. Whenever there was a route that I couldn't really do on my Onsight Try, I was always kind of disappointed and frustrated, and so many times I just didn't even bother to give it a second try. For me, it was Onsight or nothing. It took me quite a few years to kind of appreciate the red point style as well, but still, I think to be able to Onsight a hard route, it's kind of a complete challenge of how complex climber you are. There are so many things that you have to do within just a couple of seconds. You have to decide when to clip, where to go, and at the same time, if you really want to Onsight on your limit, there can't be any hesitation. I really like the upper part. I think in total it's probably not more than 8A or 8A plus. I definitely tried maybe with too much attention. I was definitely making sure that I don't break anything. At the same time, I still enjoy that the routes have a slightly easier top out where you can't really enjoy 100%, but the tension and the pressure is kind of building up, and then the feeling of finally clipping the anchor is maybe even better. Waterworld was my fourth 9A Onsight officially, but I think in terms of the real grade, I consider it to be one of my two hardest Onsights that I have ever done, together with Ildomani, that I Onsighted back in 2014. So I had to wait 8 years before I finally climbed a 9A Onsight again.